etymology, the Greek meaning of the word euthanasia is an easy death. The medical terminology in Merriam-Webster Dictionary says this is the practice of causing or permitting the death of hopelessly sick or injured individuals for reasons of mercy. Now, consider the person given a death sentence by a physical ailment that haunts their every moment of their existence. Their life has disintegrated in ways unfathomable. They are living to die. If our country had the correct legislative measures in place, this person could die with dignity if they so chose. The United States is in dire need of passing a law that allows voluntary euthanasia in order to uphold ethical portions of a person's rights, to have a standard methodology for this process, as well as to harvest viable organs from a body that is no longer participating in life. While we are in good health, life is enjoyable to our individual and connected souls. We are free to live within the law and to enjoy life with our loved ones. When a loved one gets a terminal diagnosis, their life flashes before their eyes. They are given an expiration date. These diagnoses can cause life to immediately lose its meaning. People are dehumanized in not being given a choice in their own quality of life. Depression sets in and they no longer can live pleasantly. Nearly every person in this room has gone through the experience of looking into their loved one's eyes and seeing the shame, guilt, and dejectedness as they went through their natural death. Thomas Jefferson, who drafted our Declaration of Independence, states, "All men are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." Voluntary euthanasia is a positive solution to what seems to be a hopeless scenario. Our federal government has acquitted 2 cases of physician-assisted suicide, but yet they will not consider voluntary euthanasia as a medical practice that is legal in our country. Dr. Kevorkian assisted over 100 people in the 1990s with their suicides. He was found guilty of only 1 case, and that was the one where he himself administered the lethal dose of euthanasia. The family members of the people he assisted had gratitude towards his practices. Bellick tells us that Dr. Kevorkian injected Thomas Uke with lethal chemicals. Mr. Uke, 52, had amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, or Lou Gehrig's disease. Mr. Uke sought out Dr. Kevorkian himself and agreed to have his death videotaped in order to bring this to the public and the government's attention that voluntary euthanasia needs to be considered in our country. Court TV, in an interview, tells us, while persecutors call Kevorkian a murderer, Thomas Uke's relatives hail him as a humanitarian. Uke's relatives were grateful his suffering had ended. This is a world-changing practice if we could have our open minds to allow people the privacy to choose how they die. Currently, we are denying the basic ethical rights of our citizens in not allowing them to choose this for themselves. We are not reusing the viable organs that could be given to any one of the thousands on the organ donor wait list at this time. Our hospital resources are being used in order to care for those who are terminally ill versus getting those organs to give them to the people that are on this wait list by the choice of the person themselves that would be electing to have the voluntary euthanasia. R.P. Kaplan tells us that he is a political scientist of the 70s, and he argues, we are entitled just as much to the right to life as we are the right to death. If we were to pass a law in this country, we would be upholding our citizens' rights, we would have a standardized process of voluntary euthanasia, and we would be saving countless lives. To legalize euthanasia would be a process that would go through the government, and we would then be allowed to administer this in medical practice. Sidney Hook says it best. Should a rational person be willing to endure acute suffering merely on the chance that a miraculous cure might presently be at hand? Each one should be permitted to make his own choice, especially when no one else is harmed in doing so.